Well, hey y'all, it's been a minute. So, this is going to be a dual intention video. It's a pop up to say hey and give you some encouragement, but I'm also going to download the audio to use for the podcast. But I wanted to pop on and just really encourage you today. While I encourage myself, the last podcast episode I did, I talked about living your best life and what it means to live your best life. But before I did that one, right at the end of the year, I talked about how we come into the new year, and I know it's mid-year, but follow me. We come into the new year with lots of expectation, and we have all of these cliches like 2024, God's got so much more. But really, the new year is just a new year, and what makes the new year is how you live in the year, because every new year comes with its own disappointments. And it was like life said with a neon sign and big neon letters, practice what you preach. Because y'all, when I tell you disappointment after disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, and I'm just going, are you trying to take me out? Like, what's going on? What's going on? I thought about the fact that my daughter, she likes to hide in the house and jump up and scare me. I don't like being scared. I don't like anybody jumping out at me. But no matter how many times I tell her that, that's what she does. And she rarely ever scares me. And every time she tries and she hides and I find her, she goes, how did you know I was there? How did I know? I was on alert. I know that she's in this house. I know who she is. I know how she operates. And so I know she's in this house somewhere trying to get me. Well, y'all know what? The enemy is just like that. Most of us are familiar with the scripture in John 10:10 that says, the thief cometh, but to steal, kill, and destroy. That's his job. He's coming for the things that belong to us. The last time my daughter tried to jump out and scare me was last week. I know how she likes to hide, but we have open closets in our home and they don't have a door and they're very spacious. So I'm walking through the house, it's very quiet, and I'm calling out her normal hiding spaces because I know she's hiding somewhere. I know her, right? And so I say, Aaliyah, come from under the pillow. But she wasn't under the pillow. Aaliyah, get from under that blanket. But she wasn't under the blanket. So as I walk towards where I'm going, I see a shadow by the closet and I say, Aaliyah, get from out of the closet. And she goes, how did you know I was in the closet, mommy? Now, I could tell her it was that mommy thing, which I did, because, hey. But y'all know better. Since we're talking to each other, here's how I knew. I was on alert. I knew that she was somewhere in this house. And it didn't matter that she wasn't where she usually hides. I knew she was hiding somewhere. I knew she was trying to get me. It's the same thing with the enemy, y'all. He is always on alert on how to take us down, on how to steal what belongs to us. The last couple of weeks, I missed last week. I just had a lot going on, but the last week in church, the last couple of weeks in church, actually, we've been talking about taking things by force from the enemy, the things that God promised us. And I have to be honest, with so many back-to-back disappointments, at first I was pumped. I was taking it by force, y'all. And the hits kept coming. And the last one kind of almost knocked me at my knees. And I said, you know what? I can't take it by force no more. I don't even have no energy to take it by force. And I know that no energy is not proper grammar, but we not always proper when we're going through. I don't have the energy. I just need to lay down and quit. And the Spirit spoke to me and said, Stephanie, how would you take it by force? If it was easy to obtain, you ain't gotta take something by force that's just easy to obtain. All you do is take it. But to take it by force means I take it with some authority. Have you ever seen your children, or do you recall being a child and somebody had your brand new toy and they shouldn't have had it, and they had it balled up in their hands, and so you tried to pry their fingers open and you give it to me, and they didn't want to give it to you, and so they put it behind their back and kind of clasp their hands, and you give it to me. Sometimes you have to be that forceful with the enemy. He has something and it belongs to you. You have no right, the enemy, you have no right, Satan, to take my joy, to take my peace, to take my happiness, to take my motivation. You have no right. It does not belong to you. So you can clasp your hands all you want to. Oh, but I'm coming after what belongs to me. I'm coming after what God said I could have. Y'all, it is that simple. And when I say simple, does it require some effort from us? Oh yes, I just talked about the effort. Is it easy to get up and take something by force when you feel like the wind has been knocked out of you? No, but it belongs to you. And so why would you allow somebody that has something that belongs to you, and that thing that belongs to you is the thing that causes you, that breathes in you fulfillment, that breathes in you life, that causes you to go after your life's purpose, your God-given purpose? Why would you allow the enemy to sit up there with his hands clasped and he has what belongs to you? Y'all, don't you let him. I wouldn't let him, and don't you let him. Live your best life. Despite disappointments, get up. Don't be taken out by disappointment. Don't be taken out by heartache. Don't be taken out by setbacks, because you have the ability to take it out of the devil's hands. You have the ability to change the way your story is written. Last thing, and I'm going, I know it's a little long, but it's been a minute. I was just thinking about some of the things that I have been going through, and God spoke to me. He spoke to my spirit, and he said, you know what? Ever since childhood, there's a narrative that the enemy has been trying to implant in your mind. And he said, if you think long enough about those things, you'll start to believe that. Because we often believe the things that we feel. If we're not careful, we'll let our feelings lead us. Feelings are important. Sometimes they tell us that something's wrong within us, but feelings should not be our leaders. And so as God spoke to my spirit, he said, if you're not careful, you can believe the layout of that story, but that's not the story that I've written for you. And not only is it not the story that I've written for you, Stephanie, the Spirit spoke to me and said, you know what? I have put before you evidence that everything that the devil's narrative that has written, I have put before you evidence that what it really is, what you really are, what you really can do, what I've really called you to do, who I've really said that you are, is everything opposite. And he said, you've got evidence here, and yeah, you've got some evidence here too. Which one will you walk by? Which one will you believe? I'm going to ask you that same question. Which one will you walk by? Which narrative will you believe? I've set before you a path, life and death. Choose life. Live your best life. I pray that no heartache, no disappointment, no setback, no loss would stop you from being everything that God's called you to be. Live your best life, even despite disappointment. Bye, y'all.